This is my brand new Big Boy Velocity Cargo 150cc bike. I picked this up a couple of days ago with 0 kilometers on the clock. Now, I've been trying to find a second-hand bike on Facebook Marketplace and a couple other websites, but I just couldn't find anything suitable for what I want to do. Now, the question is, what do I want to do with it? I'm going to chop this bike up and create a sweet little custom cafe racer. Yes, I know it's brand new. Yes, I'm going to chop it up, but I think it's going to look really good. I fell in love with cafe races when I bought my first motorcycle in Thailand. I used to live there, and it was a Stallion 150cc little cafe racer that I took to someone to customize even more. So this time, 5 years later, I'm going to do it all by myself. Just a small disclaimer, I'm not a mechanic and I've never worked on engines. This will be my first project. Now, that's also the reason why I went brand new and not secondhand, because sometimes you do get issues with secondhand machines. It's fine, I can learn as I go, but it would just take a lot longer and probably be more expensive. So I decided to go brand new, and then I'll learn as I go. Second bike, I might buy secondhand and learn about the engine, take it apart, all that good stuff. But for now, we'll use this brand new bike. This big boy comes from China, obviously, and it was pretty cheap. So I'll discuss pricing and all the money that went into it at the end of this video. But for now, I think let's get this on the road and we'll talk a bit more. So this is a 4-stroke air-cooled 150cc engine, and it produces 7.5 kilowatts of power at 8,500 RPM. Yes, I know that's not a lot of juice, but if you're just using it in town, you know, A to B, do some shopping, go to work, you will save a lot, because fuel consumption is at 2.4 liters of fuel for every 100 kilometers. So that is great. You will definitely save a lot. And I mean, this bike is really fun to ride, like roads like these or curves. On the straight, not so good. If you're lucky, you can maybe hit 100 kilometers an hour. If you're not as fat as me, maybe 110. So yeah, but at the moment I'm enjoying it. This bike is still a bit stiff because everything is brand new. So I just need to ride it in. But I will say it is a fun little bike and I can't wait for the end result. I love cafe races. Like I said, I started in Thailand with them. That was my first bike. My second one was a Kawasaki ER6N 650cc. I had to go a bit bigger, I wanted more power. Then after that I got the BMW GS 1200, even more power. And now I'm back at a 150cc bike. But this one is cool because I'm going to work on it and it's going to be custom, exactly how I want it. So yeah, welcome to the man cave. This is where all the magic will happen. We'll chop up this bike and create one awesome looking cafe racer. I've got all of the tools to start, well, most of the tools to get started. I don't need much because it is a small bike. It's brand new and I've got all the parts. We'll get into that now. We've got some tools here. Obviously, we've got the fridge, which is really important. We got more tools, my welding gear, welding table, tools in there. And then this is the area where I will be taking the bike apart, chopping it up, welding, all that stuff. Everything I need for the bike, well, almost everything I need for the bike is in that box. And all the products in this box I brought over from Thailand. I worked there, like I mentioned before, a couple of years there with my fiance, so I decided to bring them over with me because the prices in SA is ridiculous. I compared this to prices here and it is insane. I'll show you guys a bit later on. We got these, it's like a brake light indicator that wraps around the back seat, or like the back area of the bike. So you got obviously your right, your left, your brake light. This is very nice because it's nice and sleek. I've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. I just bought extra ones because you never know if it works. I can't return them if they don't work. And then I've got handlebars. These are the ones that I'll use on this bike, the brown ones. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so for 4 bikes, more than enough. Exhaust wrap. I got 2 black ones, and then I got 2 brown ones. For this one, for this build, I'm going to use it's kind of like a olive green, brownish type color. Looks very nice. Gonna use it for this build with the brown. So you'll see, I'll still discuss the color scheme and all that a bit later on. I got a slip-on SE Project exhaust, so I definitely have to customize that, because at the moment it's got the very long one. I hate the look of that one, but we'll change it. Got another one exactly the same, thin sleek headlight. Let's peel that off. It just looks really cool. The one on this bike is nice as well. It's nice and modern, but the problem is it's very thick. This one is a lot thinner, and I don't know, it just looks cooler. I've got the same headlight here, so I don't have to unwrap that. I love these ones. They go inside the handlebar, just indicators, but they slip inside, so you don't have the big ugly orange ones sticking out. Speedometer, the fuel gauge, all in one, and it's nice and black, sleek. It's got the blue LEDs, got the little screen. Very, very nice, because the one on the bike, obviously big and not as good looking. This is, oh yes, the mirrors. I keep forgetting about the mirrors. I do not like stock mirrors on motorcycles, any motorcycle in fact. I always want to put aftermarket mirrors on because they just look so much nicer. Like, look at these ones. Little small round mirrors that also you can clip it onto, well, you can sort of, I think it might be able to clip on or go inside, but if I put the indicators inside the handlebars, I won't be able to do that. So, but I can always sort of just mount them on there. We'll see. This is why it's a custom job. We'll have to customize everything. So this entire shop here at the back was built by my dad. Now, he surprised me when we came back from Thailand, because we only recently moved in here about, I would say, 2 weeks ago. And I was looking at container ships and Wendy houses. Now, for the overseas people, Wendy house is like a small wooden house structure, but everything was super expensive, and also trying to get the container in here would have been a mission, and if we move we have to get it out. So I was still thinking, like, what should I do, because we also don't have a garage. We have a afdak. What's that called? It's like just a roof, basically, open on the sides. And yeah, so he built this, surprised me, and I'm really grateful for that. Thanks, Dad. So yeah, and then I put on the shelves and all the extra stuff. He also gave me all of his tools. I bought some, so I'm really, really happy with this space. Now let's quickly look at pricing, and then after that, we're quickly gonna pressure wash the bike just to get all the dirt off before we start disassembling. All the parts that I brought from Thailand, so that entire box, everything cost 5,849 baht, which is 3,288 Rand. And for you Americans out there, 175 USD, which is extremely cheap for all that stuff that I got. Now, I worked out if I had to buy everything in South Africa, plus minus around 8,000 Rand, and that is 424 USD, which is way more. That's almost, I would say, 3 times the price, which is insane. So I'm glad that I brought that with. Okay, next up, the bike itself. It cost me 17,300 Rand, brand new, 917 USD, which is actually really cheap for a brand new bike. Yeah, I know it's not the best, but if you need something, that's an option. All right, time to pressure wash this bad boy. All right, I think it's time to disassemble this thing. I'm going to start from the back and then move my way forward. I do see a lot of bolts, but it looks pretty simple. I got my socket set here as well. So yeah, let's jump into it. Bolt number 1 is out. Okay, second bolt. So it's just opposite from the one I just took out. They come out pretty easily. And there we go, bolt number 2. Okay, bolt number 3. Got the shop cat over here. Her name is Gracie. Hello, Gracie. Such a cute cat, this. So lovable. You gonna help me with the bike? Here you go, a little spanner. Let's go for it. Nope, she's not in the mood today, so I guess I'll do it by myself. And I think that should be it, or is it not it? What else? What else am I missing? Maybe nothing. Yes, there we go. And we got the back piece off. Nice. All right, next up, we're gonna take the mud guard with, and also where you put the license plate. I'm gonna take that off. It seems like it's got 1, 2, yeah, these two I don't think I have to remove. Let's see, I'm gonna loosen these two first, and yeah, then we'll see. And then I need to somehow disconnect the harness. Once I get this loose, I can lift it up and see what's underneath. Yeah, I think next up I need to get the seat off first. Okay, but first let's cut this cable tie. Let's try and get the seat off. I'm not sure where. Okay, I see a bolt here, one over here, and then seems like it should just kind of like lift up and clip out maybe. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be wrong, but let's check. All right, what size do I need? Oh yeah, before we do that, let's pop these covers off because they will get in the way. Okay, cover number 1, put that aside. Cover number 2, off. Next up on the list is the air filter, this box over here. So I want to remove this, but I see there's a bolt that's holding the air filter in underneath the tank. So I think I'm going to have to loosen this one, lift the tank, and then I can get to that bolt and remove this whole section. this whole big box. To make my life a little bit easier, I think I'm going to remove the entire tank so that I can just access all the components underneath, all the pieces and parts and all that. I'm not sure if I have to drain the tank first, but I don't think so. There's a on and off and a raise little switch on the side. So I turned it to off, so I think it's fine. I can disconnect that, disconnect the fuel sensor, and I said there's something else connected as well, but yeah, let's get this thing off. Okay, that was pretty easy. Well, easier than I expected. Yeah, there we go, full tank, and I don't even have to drain it. Hell yeah, let's go. Okay, let's put this over here. Now we can access this pretty easily. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and I think it should just come right off. So yeah, let's jump into it. Oh, cool. That thing comes off. All right. And there we have it. We've got the air filter box. Hi there and welcome back to the channel. And we have Gracie here, our shop cat, if you can remember from episode 1. So yeah, this is going to be episode 2. For this episode, I think... Oh, she's getting a bit rowdy. Okay, bye. So for this episode, we're going to strip the paint from the tank and then obviously paint it. I think I'm going to cut the exhaust off and also take off the handlebars. So yesterday I went and I got the paint stripper, and the paint will be gloss colonial red. It's kind of a darker red. I think it's going to look really nice. This also has a primer mixed into it. So I got 2 cans of colonial red. I got the paint stripper. It's a heavy duty paint stripper. This is for the exhaust. It's a high heat ultra paint, long lasting finish. And then I just got a gloss clear coat for the tank to give it that nice shiny gloss look. And all of this came to a total of 1,140 Rand, which is about 61 USD. The tank is still full of fuel, so I'm going to empty it out into this tub first, and then I just think it's going to be easier to pour it over into this over here. So yeah, let's see how that works. Let's just put it like this so it can drain. There we go, that works. Okay, there's still a little bit inside, but I think that's okay. It's not a problem. I just wanted to get most of it out so it's easier to work with the tank, because it is quite heavy when it's full. Oh man, this thing is messing so much. I don't have a funnel or anything, so yeah, this is how I have to do it. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. I don't really want to mess too much because fuel is expensive. Okay, that's fine. At least we're getting the majority into it, so I think that counts. No. Need to stop talking, messing everywhere. Okay, I think we can call that a 60% success rate. I'll take it. These are just stickers that they put on the tank. I'm going to use a hairdryer and try and heat them up and just see if they come off. I think that should work. I did some research on how to use the paint stripper, and it seems like you just have to put it on really thick and then leave it for 15 minutes to 1 hour. So I think I'll apply it really thick and then maybe check in like 30 to 40 minutes. I'll also put on the time lapse on the Insta360 X3 so that we can see what it looks like. So yeah, let's get stripping. Paint stripper definitely helped, but I think I kind of screwed up over here. I forgot I should have actually taped this off before doing it because it took the silver paint off. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll probably just make it black. I just moved the tank inside so that I can get to the bottom, and also I missed a couple of spots here. So I'm going to do a second coat. This will be my spray booth. I still need to get a couple things ready, but at least it's got a roof. So if it does start raining, it'll be fine. So let's get the second coat on, and then after that we can start spray painting. So I'm thinking of cutting the pipe over here and then extending it with another piece of exhaust pipe, and then I can put the slip-on SE Project exhaust tip on here. So I think for now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this off. The exhaust is off and this has been hanging for a while now, so I think let's get the rest off and then we can start prepping this for paint. So I've applied the first coat very thin because I do not want this thing to drip at all. So I'm going to wait about 15 to 20 minutes and then I'm going to do the second coat and basically just repeat the process until I'm happy. Sheesh, this was extremely stressful. I had to cover this thing up because small little bugs kept flying in and landing on the tank as I'm spraying. 2 landed on it, but at least I got them off and then just resprayed. So, whew, crisis averted. And yeah, so I just covered this. I'm gonna let it dry. I already used 1 can. And then the second can, I'll maybe put 1 more coat and then I'll do a clear coat. And the tank is all finished. A full can of red and about half a can of clear coat later, and it's looking really good. Unfortunately, there are a couple of imperfections because the spray booth isn't closed off, so a couple things unfortunately landed on it. But that's okay. it's pretty good for my first tank. I'm happy with it. So, and I'm also happy with the color. It really does match the black. And I'm going to make the cap. I got some matte black to spray this because the matte black will match with the AC Project slip-on. So yeah, let's get this thing off and let's get this on. I promise I did record cutting this, but for some reason I decided to delete it. So you'll just have to use your imagination with this one. Now I discovered that the exhaust pipe has two, so it's got an inner one as well. So yesterday I went and I got the two different sizes. I also got the pipe for the frame. We'll do that a bit later on. So for now, I think let's extend this, both pipes, the outer and the inner pipe, and then also fit the slip-on exhaust on it. But it is a little bit loose, so I'll have to somehow modify that. I do have an idea for that. Now I have the correct ones. So this will be the inner one, outer one. I'm going to cut this one a little bit back so that I can weld the thin one or the small pipe first, and then I'm going to slip this one over top and weld that. I am new to welding, so wish me luck. Sheesh, this was an absolute mission. I really did struggle with the welding, but at the end of the day I got it done, and luckily a grinder exists. But yeah, it's on. It feels strong enough. The inner and outer pipe is welded and it's on, as you can see over here. And there we go. Yeah, so that's on. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to cut over here somewhere, and then I'm going to fit the slip-on exhaust. And also I'm going to take the two bolts from the previous exhaust that's lying over there and somehow mount them here. But yeah, that was an absolute mission. I've got the slip-on exhaust here, and I'm just going to mark off about where I want it. So I kind of wanted to miss this bolt so it doesn't like catch and I have to bend it out. So I'm just going to position it like this. And I think obviously this still needs to slip in here, but not too far. This looks about right. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I think we have our mark. Okay, let's get this thing off and then we'll just zoop, cut it off. So I had a small incident and unfortunately had to stop for 4 days. Now I was busy grinding and a small piece of metal shot into my eye. Now I think what happened was it got into the helmet, bounced off and landed in my eye because I didn't really feel it. And I left it for a day. The next day it got scratchy, my eye got red. I just put in eye drops. Oh yeah, and then I left it for another day, but then it got even worse. My eye got swollen, super red, and felt like I had a rock inside my eye. So I said, you know what, let's just go to the doctor, go to a specialist, see what's up. And he took photos, and the piece that shot into my eye already started to rust. And that really, really hurt. So he removed it with a needle and told me I can't work for the next 4 days in any dusty or bright environment. So I had to stop completely, and that's why I couldn't finish the exhaust. But what we can do is we can listen to what it will sound like. Now the slip-on isn't fastened yet. That's going to happen in the next episode. But yeah, we can listen to it, and it really does sound good. Welkom terug na episode 3. For the English speakers, welcome back to episode 3. Luckily I don't sound like that. In this episode we're going to finish up the exhaust. So first on, I need to weld these little tabs to the exhaust pipe, and then that will hook into this like this spring, and the other hook will hook onto the slip-on exhaust. Now the one problem I have is this piece is a little bit too loose, so I need to make a plan to make this fit really tightly. I don't know how yet, but I'll think of something. So I got the 2 tabs welded on. Now this thing, like I mentioned, is loose like that, and that means the slip-on is going to rattle. We don't want that. So I'm going to cut in 4 notches and try and crimp this piece so that when I slip it on, it is on tight. Well, tight as possible, and then the springs will hold the rest in place. That is the idea at the end of the day. I don't know how well that's going to work, but yeah, let's see. Okay, so I screwed up. This is supposed to slip over and go all the way down to this end. But obviously now the tabs are in the way and I can't go from this end. I can grind off the tabs, but I don't have more tabs. That's the problem. And I don't think I can reuse them after cutting them off. I can cut the pipe, but that's a lot of welding again to redo. So I think I have another solution. So I cut through here and then I just filed off the rest because I was afraid of cutting straight through it, and that would have been a big problem. So it's, yes, oh, it works. I think that was the quickest solution. That probably took me around 15 minutes, and yeah, it's on. I managed to get the slip-on exhaust on with the 2 springs, and then I need to fit this over here. So I think I'm going to fasten it to this arm. At the moment there is still a little bit of movement, but yeah, this will cancel it out. And this was actually a lot easier than I thought it's going to be. I thought it's going to be a hell of a job, but yeah, apparently not. And I will say it is looking good. I really like the look of this small AC project. It's very it's sleek and low profile, but it is loud. You will hear this thing coming. So I just put a couple of tack welds around this tip so it doesn't slide down. And besides, you're not going to see this because I'm going to wrap it with that exhaust wrap. And I wanted to put that bracket over there, but I'm not really keen to drill into this arm. So I think what I'm going to do is, we've got this bracket over here. I'm just going to shorten it and then weld a bolt onto the exhaust itself and then just fasten it. And I think that should be more than enough. Then after that, we're going to paint the exhaust. I got some high heat paint and also then wrap it, and the exhaust should be finished. And all done. This thing is tight like a tiger. This thing is not going anywhere. It looks pretty good. I don't know if I want to kind of round this off. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, let's get this off and start painting it. I've decided to hang it over here to paint it because the spray booth is full of shit, full of stuff, and I'm too lazy to move it out now. Plus there's also rusted oogiesdraad, what's it in English? Chicken wire, and it's rusted, so every time I bump into something, the rust falls and obviously lands on the fresh paint, and it's just a mission to get off. So gonna paint it here. Last time I spray painted, I got a lot of spray paint in my nose. So this time, safety first, because I did learn on my eye. So I've decided to just round off these sharp edges, and it's looking a lot better. And the exhaust is done as well, so we're quickly going to wrap that. I got clamps to keep the wrap in place, and then I'll also spray paint this. While this is drying, we'll do the wrap. Exhaust is on, the wrap is on, and it is fitting really nicely. It's tight, it's not loose at all. I'm glad I didn't have to put that clamp on, because that does take away the appearance a little bit. But overall, I am super happy with it. 10 points to whoever can guess what this is. Yes, I screwed up the exhaust gasket. So I went and I got 2 extra ones, because I'm sure I'm still going to remove, put back, remove, put back the exhaust. So yeah, I just got 2 for in case. So I'm quickly going to remove the exhaust and replace the gasket, put it back, and then Bob's your uncle. So it absolutely sucked working bare hands with this wrap because the little fibers got stuck in my hands. So this time I got some gloves. I also got my new air filter, super easy to install. Just got a little screw over here, like a hose clamp, pop that in, tighten it, and finished. Voila, easy. So yeah, this looks a lot better than that massive air filter box. It is pretty small, but it'll do the job. Time to remove the handlebar. I'm going to start with the mirrors, then the electronics, the brake, clutch. Got these 2 stoppers at the end that I'm going to pull out, then we can pull everything off. 4 bolts over here, going to loosen it, take it off, take the new one, put it on, put everything back on except for the mirrors, because we have the 2 side little round mirrors on the side and the indicators. And I'll also have to drill 2 holes for the indicators to exit over here because it's going to be inside the handlebar. I need to take out the inner plastic of this handle grip. This is for the acceleration cable, I guess you call it. So I need to take that out and transfer it into the new one. Now this thing is extremely tight. I'm going to see if I can maybe put a screwdriver in and try and pry it out. Or worst case, I'm just going to have to cut this thing off because I won't be using these again, but still I'd rather try and just slip it off if I can. Okay, so that didn't really go as planned, but at least it's in. I know it's broken, but the handle grip is holding it in place, so it's not a problem. Next up, before we say next up, mental note, use a hairdryer. Okay, so next up, we're going to fit the side mirrors. Now this plastic is a little bit too thick to go inside the handlebar. I'm going to try and trim that down and modify it a bit. And then also I need to cut a hole in this so that that can slip through. So I managed to get the mirrors and the indicators on. So the mirror just clips on to the indicator that screws into the handlebar with a nut in the middle. I wanted to weld the nut to the handlebar itself, but I just couldn't get that right. So what I did was I drilled a hole and then just put a screw through to keep the nut in place. And I mean, that works perfectly. It is tight. Oh, whew, that was close. Haha, luckily for this wire. Since we got the wire here, what I need to do now is I have to drill a hole here, and then I'm going to extend the wires because it's a bit too short at the moment. And then I'm going to take both wires through the same hole so that you can't see it. So these wires are extremely thin and small, and I don't have this size. I only have this brown thick one, but they do work, so you know what, I'm just going to use it. And obviously they're all the same color, so I had to just use masking tape and just do like I did 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot. 1 dot is for red, 2 is for yellow, and I think 3 is for black. I did write it down as well so I don't forget. But yeah, it's also working, which is great. So now I just need to feed this through the handlebar, and then yeah, it's good to go. So this should have been the easiest job and also the quickest, but this took forever. I kept having to take out the indicators with the wires. First of all, the hole wasn't big enough, so I had to make it bigger. Then I forgot to put the little plastic ring in. Then I forgot the handle grip. And then one of the wires snapped off. But at least this nightmare is finished and I got it working. So now I'm just going to fasten everything on the handlebar, and then yeah, I'm going to test the wires again to see if they work. If they don't work, I'm going to set everything alight. So this little screw head over here was stopping this thing from turning, and obviously I need this for acceleration. You can't have this thing jamming on you. Full throttle, baby. Okay, so my next problem now is they are using this little bolt as a spacer for the handlebar, well, the previous handlebar. And for this one, it's just too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill in the inside so that this can slip in a bit further down, and then I can close this properly, because at the moment there's like this massive gap when I try and close this plastic housing. So this actually went better than expected. Yeah, this thing is tight. This is also shooting back, so no problems with the bolt over here or the screw head. I'm going to do the exact same for the other side, because there's also a little gap on this side. I'm going to lose my mind if this is not going to work. Let's see, so you guys can see as well. There we go. First one. Yes, we got the white light, and then this one should be yellow. Yes, it works. Okay, 50% success rate so far. Let's see the other side. Okay, 3 dots. Okay, black, and then 1 dot should be, I think, white. Yes, that's white. And 2 dots should be yellow. Yes, it works. Okay, good. I don't have to burn the bike. We got success. So the timeth have cometh to cutteth the seateth. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna cut this thing off and I guess call it a day. Hi there and welcome back to episode 4. I can't believe we are on episode 4 already, but I will say the bike is looking good so far. So if you've missed the previous episodes, I'll just link episode 1 and then you can follow the series like that. Now I've taken the tank off to give it a couple more coats of red and then a ton of clear coat. Now I'm going to leave that for a couple of days to dry properly, and then when the bike is done, I'll put that back. Because as I was working, it like dented and scratched. So I shouldn't have done that, but lesson learned. Now I'll keep it off and let it dry. So in this episode, we're going to tackle the frame for the seat. Now I went to the shops and I tried to look for that tool where you can bend pipes. It's pretty cheap, but I just couldn't find it. All the other tools were just too expensive, so I'm gonna try and do it hillbilly backyard style. I have no idea if it's gonna work, but hey, let's find out. Okay, so that didn't go as planned. Kind of burned my hand. Well, not kinda, I did burn my hand. And I did have gloves on. It just went straight through. Luckily, it's not too bad. It did hurt like hell though. And today it actually feels fine. So we are going to continue. Now the pipe got a nice bend on the one side and the other side just kinked, unfortunately. So I'm thinking I'm going to take another straight pipe, just bend it halfway, cut this off and then weld them together, and hopefully that'll work without burning this time. So I'm not going to use a fire because that takes too long. Going to use a gas bottle and see if that works. I can't actually believe that worked, but hey, there we go. We have a seat. So now I just have to cut half of that bar and then half of the new bar to fit inside each other, and then I can just weld it up and then we have a seat. And I managed to get the back hoop on. I'm just going to make 4 small plates and I'm going to place them on each side and weld them just for that extra strength. Because at the moment I do have these gaps on the side here. This one is okay, but this one is quite bad. It's very difficult to get in there with the welder. So just going to put 4 plates, 1 on each side, and then I think that should be good. Okay, all 4 plates are finished. I just cleaned up the area a bit, so now I'm going to weld it, and then after that I'm going to grind it down and then quickly give it a spray paint to match the rest of the bike, and then that should be finished. So I've decided not to do 4 plates, and so I just did 1 on each side because it is a very uncomfortable position to weld in, and I think 2 is fine, 1 on each side. And then I also just gave it a little ducktail. I have no idea what it's actually called, but just lifted the seat a little bit, not too much, and I think it's looking good. So now we're gonna prep it and start spray painting so it can match the frame. Hi there and welcome back to episode number 5. Now, I haven't been able to work on the bike for the past 3 weeks. That's why I was late with episode 4 because I had to go do some work. Also got married. So ladies, please calm down. No, just kidding. But yeah, got married, had to do some other stuff. But now we are back at it. And for this episode, we're going to make the base for the seat out of fiberglass. So I've got the material, also have the resin. And then I'll use this cup to mix everything. I'm going to use this to just wrap the bike, and then I'll also use other covers just to cover everything up so it doesn't drip, fall on the bike. Don't want that. Also got some gloves and paintbrushes. I think I have everything. I also watched a couple of videos on how to do it. Seems pretty easy. So all we can do now is just jump into it. I think I have everything covered that needs to be covered. So now I'm going to cut the layers. I will put a layer down, resin, layer, and then I'll probably do that 5 to 7 times. I'll see how thick it is. And yeah, just decide if I want to put more or whatever. And then we're going to leave it to dry. I'm not entirely sure how long, but I reckon maybe 24 hours, 48 hours. I'll just have to give it a Google. So the instructions on the can says I need to mix 1 cup of resin to 1 teaspoon of this stuff. And I've got about 25 to 30 minutes of work time, depending on your temperature, obviously. And it's pretty cold, so I think we should be fine. Also got my material cut, paintbrushes are ready, and I'm going to do 7 layers. I think that should be enough. And Google also said it will take about a couple hours, few hours, maybe 24 hours or a couple days, depending how big this project is. Now, this is a small project, so I'm guessing a couple hours should be fine. Honestly, I have no idea how well this is going to work, if it's even going to work. Let's hope so, fingers crossed. But I'm going to leave it for at least 24 hours, so I'll come check on it tomorrow again and see if it's hardened. They also say you can put a heat source on it to let it dry faster. I don't have a heat gun or anything like that, so I'm just going to leave it like that and let it dry. Alright, so it is now the next day and this thing is hard. Unfortunately, it created like these pools at the bottom, but I think it should be fine. I'm going to leave this in the sun for a little bit longer to just dry completely. And then while we wait for that, we're going to tackle the headlight or the mounting for the headlight because I need to figure out something. Not really sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm sure we can think of something. So unfortunately, the resin seeped through and it got on the frame. But I mean, that's okay because it's only the top part, which is going to be covered in anyway. I should have actually wrapped this maybe like 3 times, but it's okay. I think it should be fine. We can just put the base on top and then it should hide it because there's nothing on the side. There's a little bit on this side, but I don't think it's that big of a problem. managed to get the light on. What I did was I drilled 2 holes, one on each side, and then I shortened the bolts, and then I just fastened them, and it kind of created its own threads, but it's still not good enough because it does move a lot. And while I'm riding, it's going to do this, and we can't have that. So I'll definitely have to put something in the inside to really like fasten it, but also not too much so that you can still adjust it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'll have to think about it. Before we continue with that, I think this seat is ready to be trimmed and then fastened to the bike itself. Okay, so I had to get a couple of extra things. These are cable ties for the backlight. I wanted to do it fancy, put the backlight inside the pipe, but you know what? I think that's gonna be a lot of effort, and if I screw that up, I'm gonna have to make a whole new seat. So rather not. Just gonna use cable ties. And then the backlight itself also got the 3M sticky adhesive at the back. That'll be fine. That's how I did my first Cafe Racer. I got other bolts and nuts for the light, so I got the flat ones to fit in a lot easier, but I'll have to grind it down a bit. And then I also have this strong glue that will also weather seal it, which I think will work just perfect. And then a staple gun for the seat itself once I start doing the leather work and all that. So this we will use a little bit later on. I will call that a success. It is nice and tight. I had to put 2 washers in, but yeah, it's working. This thing won't move at all, and you can actually just loosen it, adjust, and then fasten it again. Perfect. So next up on the list is to fasten the base to the frame. I'm going to drill 2 holes through the base and through the frame. Then I'm going to use the same bolts and nuts that I used for the light to just fasten it so that the seat can still be removable. I'm going to glue the nut to the seat base, and then you could just go with a screwdriver underneath and loosen the seat to take it off and put it back on. So I've decided to use super glue to glue the nuts to the base, and I used quite a lot, so I need to let that dry. When it's dry, I'm going to take the foam, cut it, and then glue it to the seat. Now the glue I'm going to use is this white and red Glue Devil. So yeah, let's wait for this to dry and then we can do it. The super glue worked really well, actually better than expected, so that's great. Now I'm going to cut the foam. I'm going to leave a little bit on the side, like excess, to cover up the sharp edge so that it can wrap around. And I'll do it for both sides, the back and the front, because it is a lot easier to trim off than not have enough. Hi there and welcome back to episode number 6. I honestly thought that I would be done with this bike by this episode, but obviously got some problems. It's to be expected with a project like this. Now, in the previous episode, I was busy with the seat and I wanted to finish it in this episode, but unfortunately we do have some problems. The sewing machine that I used or tried to use wouldn't work with the leather. It kept slipping and it wouldn't take the thread. And I used to do a lot of leather work and I had all the tools, but I got rid of it when we came back from Thailand because it was just too heavy and I didn't have space. So I said, no, I'll buy new stuff. And now I need them. So what I did is I ordered new stuff, but it will only arrive next week, Wednesday. So I think in this video, we're going to leave the seat for now because I can't really do anything with it. So I'm going to focus on getting the battery mounted and then the speedometer in the front. And yeah, that's going to take us a step closer to finishing this bike and getting it on the road. I'm going to repurpose the other battery mount that came with the bike, but there's no way to actually bolt this to the frame. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll have to cut some metal out of this because this is the only metal I have. It's a little bit thick, but that's okay, we can use it. So I'm going to use this and then try and make something to just mount it in the inside where it's nice and fastened. So I'm thinking of placing the battery somewhere in the middle here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me just, there we go. So I'm going to place it somewhere in here, like in the middle, obviously far enough away from the wheel so it doesn't touch. And there's nothing else that needs to go in the space, so it can like chill in the middle, I guess. So I actually wanted to weld this plate to the inside of the two bars here, but then I saw that there's this tab that I'm not going to use anymore because that, I think it was for the old seat. And yeah, this is actually a lot better because now I can remove the whole battery mounting if I do want to do more work to the bike, which is great. And I can remove it to actually spray paint it because otherwise I'll have to like grind everything down again and respray the spot of the frame and everything and get paint on the tank. Don't want to do that, so this is actually a lot better. The battery plate is busy drying, so I think let's move on to the speedometer. Now this should be pretty simple because there's already 2 bolts on the back of the speedometer and 2 bolts on the bike. So what I'm thinking is I'm basically going to place it here in the middle, cut 2 plates, and then just connect the arms, and I think that should be it. Looks pretty good. I think having it in the middle should look pretty nice and easy to read. I don't want it too low, kind of want it at an angle so it's easier to see. So yeah, let's do it. And the battery mount is in and it is looking really good. I am happy with how it turned out. Now another thing that I'm not sure about is this small little cone filter. It doesn't have anything in the inside, and if I do ride on dusty roads that might be an issue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to repurpose the filter or the original filter and then just use the sponge or whatever you want to call this, and I'm just going to shove that inside. I have to trim it a bit so that it fits inside, and then I'll listen to what it sounds like, because it is a little bit tinny, so hopefully with this it will kind of cancel that out. Not sure, but yeah, let's give it a try. Hi there and welcome back to episode number 7. Now I finally got all the leather tools that I need to finish this seat. Now this seat is for my custom Cafe Racer bike. If you haven't seen the series yet, please head back to the first one and then work your way through all of them. I'm a little bit skeptical about this seat, I won't lie, because this is the first time making a seat and it is not as easy as it looks. I have been watching a couple of videos on YouTube on how to do it. Now everyone's got a different method, so I think I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens. Otherwise I'll have to redo it, or worst case I might have to get someone to make it for me, but first I'm definitely gonna try. This is the package that I've been waiting for, the tools that I needed. So let's quickly go through it and I can show you exactly what I need to finish this seat. So first up is kind of important, is these ones, because my sewing machine didn't work. This is to punch holes into the leather itself. So I've got a nice big one. So there's 3 different sizes here, which is great. Definitely going to need this. Next up is the needles. And they actually gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kind of threads or different color ones. I do have 2 other ones as well, 2 big ones, so that's more than enough. And then it's, I guess this is just for your finger that I won't be using. Let's see, what is this? Oh yeah, this is just to clean the holes after you've punched them so that it's a lot easier for the needle to go through. This, I haven't actually used this one. It kind of looks like a needle as well with a hole in it. I'm guessing it is to pull the thread through, like thick stuff, or not entirely sure. Might need it, but yeah, let's check. And yeah, that's actually all I needed. It's not a lot, but I can do it. I already have a hammer, and I have the glue as well. This will go underneath the seat. Yeah, I'll show you guys exactly how I do it and the whole process. So before I do anything else, I'm definitely going to trim this foam a little bit because it is too thick. It's way too thick. It's too thick. Gonna have to trim it. I have a knife, but it does a crappy job at it. So I might use like a box cut or something. I don't know. Let's see what I can use. So I got the seat all trimmed up, not looking too bad. So next up, I have to actually use the leather to make the cover so I can pull it over. Now I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue some foam to the piece of leather. So then I'm going to take this old pillowcase, which I already cut up, glue it to the foam, and then obviously the foam to the leather. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch everything together so that I can make the nice thick pockets and it's not just a flat piece of leather, if that makes sense. So you're probably wondering why I didn't just cut a new piece of leather, because if I do screw this up, then at least I do have some left. And besides, I still need more leather for the sides. But yeah, I can just reuse the old piece. Sure, it took some time and definitely a lot of patience, but hey, nice and clean, and I can use it now. So I got the holes punched on the side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw lines horizontally and then punch the holes, and that's going to create those pockets that I was talking about. So yeah, looking good so far, but yeah, let's move to the next step and then continue. So yeah, there we go. Seat is all done. Well, not done. That's a lie. We're getting closer though. So now I need to cut the sides for the seat. and then I'm going to punch holes in that, and then I'll stitch everything together. Then we can pull it over the seat and staple everything together. I honestly did not think this thing is going to turn out this well, but it took me forever. I sat last night to just finish it. Man, it took me hours on hours to finish this. And also it's got the seam at the back, which looks good. And I ran out of glue, so I quickly had to run to the store and get more contact adhesive. So now we can glue this entire thing together, and then remember from the previous episode, I showed you guys a staple gun. I'm going to use that to just staple it all in. And then we can fit this thing. Probably have to trim the front a little bit, but then we're done with the seat. That was an absolute nightmare to get on. For every successful staple that I got in, I probably wasted like 4 of them. But at least it's on now, and I've got enough staples in. So it seems like that staple gun just was not strong enough to punch through. So I had to try and find like kind of like weak points in the base. But yeah, got it in. I mean, it's not the best looking, but I think it's all right for my first try. And I like the red stitching because it goes well with the tank, and then so it's black and red, same as the bike, which is really nice. So I mean, the back didn't really come out as nice. I still have to put on the LED strip plus the number plate license holder thingy. So hopefully that will kind of distract from this. It doesn't look perfect, but you know what can I do? I'm not going to redo it now. That was a lot of work. But yeah, I think for a custom bike, that's not too bad. Okay, so I think it's time to install the side bags. Now I'm thinking of cutting or making a bar that's going to run from the tank to the seat so that I can just slip in the bags. Then it's nice and secure, and it's also easy to take off. I'm going to use this piece of metal to create the bar. Hi there and welcome back to episode number 8, and I think we can finish this bike in this episode. There's a couple things we still need to do. I got the number plate, so I'm going to mount the number plate over here. So I need to make a bracket. Going to reuse this metal, and then I'm going to make a bracket, mount this on. Then we need to cover up the big boy name that's in white on the engine. That's quick, just spray that. Also need to do all the electronics. That's the one that's going to take the longest because I'm not sure if everything's going to work. So obviously I'll have to rewire, do all that fancy stuff, and I am not good with electronics at all. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I think I have a plan for this bracket. First, I'm going to remove the seat, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the bracket for the number plate, and I'm going to mount it in the inside so that it can come out. And now I think I'm going to just weld some nuts in the inside to fasten it so you can still remove it. I don't want to weld it to the frame because, like I say, if you want to remove it, then it's easy to do it. You can just undo the bolt or what. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I'll think of something. Okay, so the plan is to take these nuts and weld them where I made the holes on the frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm quickly going to grind this off to prepare it for welding. And I think it was about 2 episodes ago where I did the fiberglass for the seat, and I mentioned that I want to redo it, but I'm not sure. Well, now's the time, so I'm going to grind all this off, weld the nut, and then respray it, and it should look really good. I'm really glad I decided to grind this down and respray it because this looks much better. All that fiberglass is now off. Looks nice and shiny. Also got the 2 bolts in. The 2 nuts. So that should be fine. So yeah, I'm going to let this dry and then we can assemble everything. Took really long to finish. It was kind of a mission to get it bolted in the inside because of the curve, and I don't really have anything to bend the metal with. I tried to use the vise, but yeah, that thing snapped completely, so I needed to get a new one. But it's on. I won't lie, it is a little bit skew, but you know what, I can fix it later on. At least for now it's on. So when I finish the bike, I can at least go and ride. which is fine. And then, like I say, later on, I'll just fix it. Okay, so next up on the agenda is getting rid of the big boy laters. Now, I won't actually get rid of the laters because it's kind of, what do you call it, like engraved in the engine. So I will have to just spray over it with high heat paint. So, I mean, you'll still see it, but it's not going to be in white like now. Now you can easily see it. So I think once it's black, it'll blend in a little bit more. Okay, so the SKU number plate really annoyed me. I took it off and fixed it. I did this off camera quickly, but now it is on straight and it's looking good. So next up, I actually want to reinstall the crash bar to see what it will look like, just to make the bike look a bit bigger. Not sure what that's going to look like, but let's see. And then I also got a different, actually a smaller gear selector that I'm also going to install, see if it works. I'm not sure if it's the right size, but I guess we'll find out. Then I need to finish up the front mud guard. And oh yes, I also already fitted the speedometer that you've seen, but I also did the electronics off camera because I think that would have been quite boring because that took a couple days. But yeah, that's all wired up. I'll show you what that looks like now. The new gear selector is a little bit too big, so I just took the old one and I cut the back off, and I will say that is looking pretty good. So now that the crash bar and the gear selector is all sorted, I think next up we're going to tackle the mudguard. Now I do have a sheet for that I'm going to cut, and hopefully that works. I'm not too sure, but we'll see.